As we age, we often accumulate things, clothes, furniture, books, mementos, that may no longer serve a purpose. For many seniors, these items can start to feel like a burden. Margaret, 75, had spent decades collecting things she thought might be useful one day, only to realize that much of it was just taking up space and causing mental clutter. After a visit from her daughter, Margaret decided to let go of what no longer served her. She donated clothes she hadn't worn in years and cleared out old books and trinkets. The result? Margaret's home became a peaceful sanctuary, and she felt lighter and freer, not just physically but mentally as well. Key takeaway: decluttering your home doesn't just create more space, it frees your mind. When you let go of possessions you no longer need or use, you make room for the things that truly add value to your life. Whether it's old furniture or clothes that no longer fit, shedding excess items can create a more peaceful and organized living space. 1. Old clothes you never wear. Let's talk about something we all probably have tucked away in our closets: those old clothes we never wear. Whether it's a suit you wore to your first job interview, a dress from your younger years, or a shirt you keep hoping you'll fit into again, these pieces often hang around far longer than they should. It's easy to hold on to them for sentimental reasons, thinking, maybe I'll wear it again someday, or this reminds me of a special time in my life. But the truth is, holding on to clothes like this might be doing more harm than good. Take Mrs. Dorothy, for example. At 78 years old, Dorothy had spent years clinging to dresses from her youth. Every time she opened her closet, she was reminded of a time when those clothes symbolized her style and energy. The years went by, the dresses no longer fit, and truth be told, she didn't even like wearing them anymore. The clothes weren't just taking up space. They were holding her back emotionally, reminding her of a version of herself she had long outgrown. One day, Dorothy had a realization. Holding on to these clothes wasn't doing her any favors. She decided to let go of them. It wasn't just about clearing out space. It was about clearing out emotional baggage. As she donated the old clothes, her closet began to reflect who she was today, not the person she was decades ago. It felt like a fresh start, and she found that letting go of the past opened her up to new possibilities. The lesson here is clear. Holding on to outdated clothes can keep you tethered to a past that no longer serves you. It can prevent you from embracing who you are today and the exciting things ahead. By decluttering your closet and letting go of clothes that no longer align with your life or your style, you make room for new experiences and new joys. It's not just about tidying up. It's about embracing the person you've become and stepping into the next chapter of life with confidence and freedom. Just like Dorothy, you too can find freedom in clearing out the clutter. Letting go of those old clothes might be the first step to lightening your load, both physically and emotionally, and enjoying the present moment. 2. Expired medications. Next on the list of things seniors should declutter. Expired medications. It's something many of us don't think about, but keeping old prescriptions around can actually be harmful. Not only are these medications taking up valuable space, but they can also pose serious health risks and create unnecessary confusion. Take Mr. Frank, for example. At 85 years old, Mr. Frank had a drawer full of old medications, some of which he hadn't used in years. He never thought much of it until a minor health scare made him realize that keeping these old prescriptions wasn't just unnecessary, it was downright dangerous. Some medications had expired, and others had been replaced with newer ones. Yet, they all sat there, cluttering up the drawer and potentially contributing to confusion. After speaking with his doctor, Mr. Frank decided it was time to clear out the drawer for good. The change was remarkable. Not only did he free up space, but he also gained peace of mind knowing that his medication list was up to date. He realized that a simple action like decluttering his medications helped him feel more in control of his health and less overwhelmed by unnecessary clutter. The lesson here is simple but crucial. Expired medications can pose serious health risks, especially if they are accidentally taken, mixed with newer prescriptions, or forgotten entirely. Having outdated medications lying around can also cause confusion and make it harder to keep track of what's truly necessary for your health. By decluttering your medication list and keeping only what you need, you'll have a clearer picture of your health and feel more confident in managing it. Mr. Frank now makes a point of keeping his medications organized and up to date. He knows that a little effort in this area can go a long way in improving his well-being and peace of mind. So take a moment to clear out your old medications. It's one step toward a healthier, more organized life. 3. Old papers and documents. Next, let's tackle another form of clutter that can easily accumulate over time. Old papers and documents. We all have them. Piles of bills, receipts, tax documents, and stacks of papers we've never gotten around to dealing with. But what many don't realize is that cluttered paperwork can cause stress, anxiety, and mental overload, which only increases as we age. It's time to clear that clutter and take control of both our space and peace of mind. Take Miss Evelyn, for example. At 92 years old, she spent years buried under mountains of old bills, insurance papers, and forgotten documents from decades ago. Every time she opened a drawer or tried to find something, she became overwhelmed by the piles. Eventually, she realized that all this clutter wasn't just taking up space, it was weighing on her mentally. With the help of her family, Miss Evelyn decided it was time to tackle the mess. She started sorting through the clutter, discarding what was no longer needed and organizing what was important. What she found was incredible. Along with the usual documents, she uncovered old letters from loved ones, mementos from special occasions, and memories that had long been forgotten. But just as importantly, she felt a huge sense of relief as she let go of papers that no longer served a purpose. By clearing out the clutter, Miss Evelyn not only created a more organized living space, but also a clearer mind. She was able to let go of things that had been adding stress and anxiety to her life, making room for peace and positivity. The lesson here is clear. Cluttered paperwork can cause unnecessary stress and mental fatigue, especially when it piles up over the years. Simplifying your space by decluttering old documents can help clear your mind, reduce anxiety, and make it easier to stay organized. Miss Evelyn's story is a perfect reminder that sometimes letting go of the past, whether it's old papers or memories, can be one of the most freeing things you can do for your well-being. 4. Sentimental items from the past. Let's dive into another type of clutter: sentimental items. These are the things we hold on to because they carry memories of significant moments in our lives. Whether it's old photographs, war medals, or childhood keepsakes, these items can stir up feelings of nostalgia and remind us of important times. But when we hold on to too many of them, they can become clutter that prevents us from fully appreciating the present. Take Tom, for example. Tom is a 79-year-old war veteran who had boxes full of mementos from his time in the service. Every item told a story. His medals, letters from comrades, and old uniforms, all cherished memories from a time that had shaped who he was. But as Tom grew older, he realized that some of these items were keeping him stuck in the past. Every time he opened a box, he was reminded of a time that was no longer a part of his everyday life. It wasn't just the memories. It was the weight of carrying all those items that was holding him back. After much reflection, Tom decided to go through the boxes and keep only the most meaningful pieces, the ones that truly represented his service and the experiences that mattered most to him. By doing so, he made room for new memories, particularly with his grandchildren. Instead of being surrounded by items that reminded him of the past, he created a space that allowed him to focus on the present and future. The family photos and memorabilia he kept served as beautiful reminders of his past, but they no longer overwhelmed him. The lesson here is profound. Sentimental clutter can sometimes prevent us from living fully in the present. While it's important to cherish memories, holding on to too many items can keep us tied to the past and prevent us from embracing new experiences. By choosing to keep only the most meaningful items, we can honor our history without being weighed down by it. Just like Tom, we can find balance, connecting with our past while making room for the future and the memories yet to be made. 5. Ocean. Unused appliances and gadgets. Next on our decluttering list are unused appliances and gadgets. How many of us have that kitchen drawer or cabinet full of items we bought on a whim, thinking, one day I'll use that smoothie maker, or maybe I'll try that new kitchen tool? The reality is, many of these items just sit there gathering dust, taking up valuable space. Take Mrs. Jean, for instance. 10. At 82 years old, her kitchen was packed with gadgets she rarely used. Bread makers, juicers, and even a set of fondue forks, all hidden away in drawers, unused for years. But after deciding to downsize, Mrs. Jean made a huge realization. The space she reclaimed after getting rid of those unused items didn't just make her kitchen look better, it made her cooking experience more enjoyable. Without the clutter of appliances she never used, she was able to focus on the tools that truly enhanced her cooking. Now her kitchen is much simpler, with only the gadgets that make her life easier, like a trusty blender and a few essential cooking utensils. It's not about getting rid of everything, it's about keeping what adds value. The lesson here is simple yet impactful. Clinging to unused or broken items takes up not just space, but energy. Every time we open a drawer or cabinet and see those gadgets we never use, it's a small reminder that we're holding on to things that no longer serve us. By letting go of items that have no purpose, we free up space, time, and mental energy for the things that truly matter. Just like Mrs. Jean, you can create a more peaceful, functional space, one that supports the life you want to live, clear of unnecessary clutter, and full of tools that bring joy and ease to your daily routine. 6. Outdated technology. Let's move on to a common form of clutter that many of us overlook. Outdated technology. We've all been there. Old phones, clunky computers, and piles of VHS tapes that no longer serve any purpose. While these items might have held value once, over time they become a physical and mental burden, taking up space and keeping us tied to a time that's long gone. Take Mr. Harold, 88, for example. He had a collection of old phones, outdated computers, and stacks of VHS tapes that he hadn't touched in years. While he had the best intentions of holding on to them for nostalgia's sake, they were just collecting dust. It wasn't until he decided to declutter that he realized how much these old items were weighing him down, both physically and mentally. Once he cleared his space of these relics, something shifted. Mr. Harold found that by updating his devices to more modern, user-friendly technology, he felt more connected to the present. He was able to embrace smartphones, streaming services, and even video calls with his family, bringing him closer to loved ones in ways his old technology couldn't. Technology, instead of being something he avoided, became a tool to enhance his life. The lesson here is clear. Outdated technology can hold us back in ways we don't even realize. Whether it's struggling with old gadgets that are slow and frustrating, or simply feeling disconnected from the world around us, these items can prevent us from staying active and engaged in today's digital world. By updating to more modern, user-friendly devices, seniors can not only simplify their lives, but also stay connected to their families, access information, and enhance their daily routines. Just like Mr. Harold, embracing new technology can help you feel more in tune with the present and give you the freedom to enjoy the benefits of today's world. 7. Excess furniture. Now let's talk about something many of us might not immediately think of when it comes to decluttering. Furniture. Over the years, it's easy to accumulate too many pieces, whether from family hand-me-downs, old purchases, or just because we think we might need extra seating or storage. But when furniture piles up, it can make a home feel cramped, cluttered, and harder to navigate, especially as we age. Take Mrs. Clara, 85, for example. Her home was filled with bulky furniture she no longer needed. Chairs, tables, and cabinets filled every corner, making her space feel crowded and difficult to move through. As she spent more time in her home, she began to feel that the excess furniture wasn't just taking up space, it was taking up her freedom. She had trouble moving around comfortably, and even the simplest tasks felt more difficult. Finally, Mrs. Clara decided it was time for a change. She rearranged her living space, getting rid of the pieces that were no longer functional, and simplifying her environment. What followed was nothing short of transformative. Her home felt open, airy, and more inviting. She had more room to move around safely, and the cluttered corners were replaced with spaces that encouraged relaxation. Mrs. Clara found that with fewer pieces of furniture, she had more room for freedom, both physically and mentally. The lesson here is simple. Too much furniture can make it hard to enjoy your space. Especially as we get older, it can block pathways, create tripping hazards, and make even the most familiar spaces feel overwhelming. By decluttering and simplifying your home, you can create a more comfortable and safer environment that allows you to move freely, relax, and fully enjoy your living space. Just like Mrs. Clara, you'll find that less is often more when it comes to creating a home that works for you and enhances your quality of life. 8. Negative thoughts and unresolved emotional baggage. Finally, let's talk about something that often gets overlooked when we think about decluttering. Emotional baggage. Shorty. Just as physical clutter can weigh us down, so can negative thoughts, grudges, and unresolved emotions. These internal burdens can hold us back from fully embracing the present and finding peace within ourselves. Mr. Jack, 90, is a perfect example. For years, he carried around grudges from his past, disappointments, misunderstandings, and old wounds that he never quite let go of. These emotional burdens, while invisible, were just as heavy as any pile of old items. His relationships with his family were affected, and he found it difficult to experience true joy, even when surrounded by loved ones. But everything changed after a deep conversation with his daughter. She encouraged him to finally confront those old wounds, forgive those who had wronged him, and let go of the negativity that had been holding him back for so long. As he worked through the pain and chose to release the grudges, something incredible happened. Mr. Jack found a new sense of peace in his heart. He felt lighter, freer, and more connected to the people around him. That emotional clutter was gone, and in its place was space for love, understanding, and joy. The lesson here is powerful. Just like physical clutter, emotional clutter can weigh us down and affect our overall well-being. Holding on to negative thoughts and unresolved issues can not only damage our relationships, but also take a toll on our mental and physical health. By letting go of past grudges, embracing forgiveness, and freeing ourselves from emotional baggage, we make room for peace and happiness. This emotional decluttering can be just as crucial to living a long, fulfilling life as keeping our physical spaces clear. Just like Mr. Jack, you can discover a renewed sense of freedom and connection when you let go of the past and open yourself up to a brighter future. And there you have it, 8 powerful ways to declutter not just your home, but your life. By clearing out both physical and emotional baggage, you make space for new experiences, better health, and a brighter future. Just like the inspiring seniors we've heard about today, you too can create a more peaceful, fulfilling environment, setting yourself up for a longer, happier life. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to comment below with a 9 or a 0. I'd love to hear what resonates with you. Take care, and remember, decluttering is a journey, not a destination. Until next time.